Flash your chic chip style squad. This is internet personality Vangelus, and I'm going to take a look at Deluxe Sunstreaker from Transformers: War for Cybertron Trilogy: Part 2: Earthrise, which was provided to me in part of a hashtag free product box from Hasbro, clearly denoted as such at the start of this video, a collectible toy review that is not aimed at children. No child-friendly video would just casually drop a word like genital in the opening minute, while this video just did. Sunstreaker's car mode has never heard of a Lamborghini. There isn't even a spoiler, ridiculous accusations. There are two 5mm ports back there, unrelated to anything, hypothetical, fan-made, custom, whatever. Anyways, this is a sporty-looking alternate form with lots of swish, sleek lines, a signature silver thingy up top, and pretty blue windshields. Sadly, there's also a mix of yellow plastic and yellow paint that just doesn't match under most lighting. Under warmer lighting in person, I find it does sometimes blend decently, but a lot of the time, and in most photos, the tonal difference is stark. Personally, I believe this is due to the yellow paint appearing to have been laid straight down on top of either solid black or translucent blue plastic, two base-level hues that kinda demand an undercoat. At least the rims are silver. I really like the concept of Earthrise Wheeljack's transformation, and that's very relevant as Earthrise Sunstreaker uses more or less an identical conversion skeleton. The same blocks of mass do the same broad strokes motions, just tweaked in a way. The arms are Y-axis inverted, the legs are 180 degrees reversed, and the hood has a second hood sculpted underneath to accommodate that. Thing is, Sunstreaker is also the better of the two. Much more satisfying hand feel, no twiddly windshield parts trying to fall off. I love transforming this figure. That double waist swivel just feels like speed lines are manifesting behind my hands. And just to finish that previous thought, I pored over Wheeljack and Sunstreaker, and they do not share a single component, right down to the internal shoulder and hip pieces. They both use an internal torso cage, but they each have a unique internal torso cage. I know this isn't as new a concept as it was a few years ago, but damn if I don't still find it so neat when it turns out like this. Sunstreaker's ever so slightly more chunk than slim, but still feels right to my optic nerves. The yellow tonal mismatches are less of an issue when they're spread over a robot. He's got less of a planky backpack than Wheeljack, and the head sculpt pleases my desires. Just a lovely man made of car parts, and a Sunstreaker who doesn't need to cheat his chest, but rides the fine line just right to not look like he has a giant sandwich board there either. As for accessories, well, he can take his silver thingy off, use it as a very flat gun. Despite copious Earthrise standard 5mm ports, Sunstreaker is very accessory light. I don't actually mind, as the rest of the package satisfies me quite fully without a little pistol to stash somewhere. And let's be real, there are copious wieldable weapons in this generation's trilogy. If you've bought like a toy from War for Cybertron Trilogy, you have a gun for Sunstreaker somewhere. Maybe it's a dude's leg. Maybe it turns into a tiny psychiatrist. You have a gun for Sunstreaker somewhere. Sunstreaker's neck ball joint is one of those nice, emotive ones. He can also, with the transformation hinge, tuck his face into his own inner bosom. His shoulders have got all that punching and all of that outward, although his shoulder thruster things, you have to tuck his face into that bosom to get them to go total T-pose here. And he's also going to be blasting the back of his own head, but maybe that's fashionable by the time this is happening. His elbows bend 90 degrees and turn at that bicep. His wrists don't turn, but they can go like that with the transformation hinge for a little bit of that animate, kerpow, hand-on-hip kind of stuff. That hip is below a waist that can turn from side to side, but those hips can kick forward, they can kick backward, they can go as far out as you want. He can go with that face tucked into the inner bosom, full helicopter T mode. Actually, it's more of an H. The thighs can turn on a fairly visible mechanism of mushroom peggery. The knees can bend a big 90 degrees. Those ankles can tilt, even with the I can't believe they cheated the and the transformation also allows you to waggle toe and re-pivot the front half of the foot. Back half of the foot, unfortunately, only can do that, which is unhelpful to anything. You'd want to leave that down for the most part. But front half you can get a little bit experimental with if you want to. Articulation on this dude is, I think, really darn good. He's just a transformer made of car chunk, and all the major sectors can articulate as much as I would want them to. and I get poses out of them. I don't know what else I'd really want to ask for. I guess, you know, fit an ab crunch in there somewhere there if I want to be really greedy. I don't know, maybe we can just do... Yeah, here, his abs can move down there. It's kind of like crunching, except on a sort of a T and a U axis, before we get to the W, X, Y, and Z. For me, Sunstreaker is a hit. He's all of Wheeljack's qualities and more. Solid car mode, solid robot mode, solid transformation. Low on accessories to be sure, but equipped to delve deep into the weaponizer, modulator, fossilizer ball pit, if you're down to solve that in the way presented to you by the Toyline trilogy itself. Now, yeah, I'd be remiss to gloss over the fact that the mismatched yellow plastic and yellow paint could very well be a visual catastrophe beyond reproach, depending on your taste. Clearly, I do not feel that way, but do try to get as many looks under as many lighting conditions as you can if you're on the fence and, like, still able to buy this toy in person in 2022. I'd say go down to your local toy store and just, you know, go on the shelves and... But how easy was that to do for the last little while? It's April 2022, and anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and why, yes, I do think this guy looks pretty cool next to Siege Sideswipe, and heck, I bet that means he'll look good next to Kingdom Earth Mode Sideswipe and, like, Maximal Skywarp 2. I always feel great myself when I'm standing next to the support of my patrons on Patreon, as opposed to my completely not identical twin brother. Those patrons help keep all the paint on my body color matched to my base plastic Pantone, which allows me to seamlessly blend in with you, the organic.